I'm at a point now where I want to share with people in relationships how to solve conflict, how to have these healthy conversations, how to eliminate drama within communication so that we can have a loving, intimate relationship regardless of who that relationship is with. Hello there, Alejandra Crisafulli, award-winning master life coach and speaker, and I am known as the Baller Coach. So this YouTube channel is devoted to sharing with you two things, the 180 method and the communication solution. This is the core of the work that I have done and delivered for over 20 years as a life coach. And with thousands of clients, I have lost count at this point how many people I have worked with in the last 20 years. And I have been feeling this call, especially towards the end of 2022, to really hone in on this YouTube channel and start showing up and sharing these two highly I can't even describe this work between the 180 method and the communication solution. And I've not only been having that calling from within myself, but above all, God, kind of those silent nudges of God saying, it's time that you truly step into this and start sharing more to reach more people who are struggling in their life and in these 360 cycles that just end up getting you into the same place that you started. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to do a whole bunch of work and then end up exactly where I started. So there was also clients who I've worked with who kept talking about, like, Alejandra, this work is so different than anything else I have ever done. And I wish I would have known about you years ago and about this work years ago, because so many things could have been very different. So here we are, starting the YouTube channel for the Baller Coach and sharing with you once again the 180 method and the communication solution. So each week I'm going to be posting a new video, and they're going to alternate. There's going to be things about the 180 method and there's going to be things about the communication solution. For today, and our first video and time together here, I'm going to hone in on the 180 method. This is truly the core foundation of what this coaching work is like. And I know, y'all, like, life coaching, I was just having this conversation with my daughter today, who's 21, and she's in school to be a psychologist. And she was talking about how much she loves life coaching, but that there's so many life coaches. And it was, it was interesting to hear her share, because I've been coaching. She's 21. I've been coaching for 20 years, back when like nobody knew what life coaching was. So to hear her talk about like everyone is a life coach now, she really wants to approach it from more of a clinical aspect. And it was like, that's awesome. Do that. But it was interesting to hear her share about how she sees everyone's a life coach. And I know that's a generalization. That's obviously not truth, but it just feels like many, 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 many people are life coaches. And so what makes this 180 method so different? This is what I want to hone in on and give you the foundation of what this work truly is and can do for you. So let's start by talking about self-help as a whole, okay? So listen to the language here, okay? Listen to what it's really saying. Self-help, self-development, self-improvement, self-sufficiency, self-dependence, self-empowerment, self-help. So what are we hearing? Self, right? Now, this for me is one of the things that I actually have struggled with
the whole self-help industry. And being a part of the self-help industry, that can be hard, that I struggle with this because I'm involved in the self-help industry. But this is where the 180 method was born from. All those things are wonderful. However, when you are reliant solely on self, that's when challenges, problems, situations that don't feel good end up perpetuating themselves and creating 360 cycles in your life. So one of the main things that I hear from clients is brain fog, I was going to say, but not, it's more of like confusion, feeling lost, feeling very stuck. I work with very high level individuals, mainly women, but I do have a lot of men clients too. And I run men's groups, men's coaching groups, but most of my client base is women. And what I find is that these are high-powered women, whether they're entrepreneurs or network marketers or stay-at-home moms, but they run their whole families. They generate lots of money from 6 figures to 7 figures, even 8 figures. So the one thing that I have found in common with all of them is this like stuckness in which they find themselves in. And then the other thing is confidence, is having self-confidence. So it brings me back to what I was sharing around the self. When we're focused in on self-improvement, self-development, and all the selves that we were talking about, you are truly only reliant upon yourself. And this may sound very against what is shared nowadays around self-help and self-improvement, really, is the whole self-empowerment thing. You only have a certain amount of power, and you are the self that got you to where you're at currently, which yes, means you can get yourself out of it, but it also means you're going to be working with and against the same things that got you exactly where you're at now. So to be solely reliant upon self-development, self-improvement, self-sufficiency, you're only relying on one part of yourself and only the limited amount of power that we may have, instead of being able to tap into the greatest power that there is. So I'm going to step away from this conversation for just a moment. And I don't know, that may piss you off. And if it does, then that's okay. Maybe I'm not the right person for you, or this isn't the right channel for you, and that's all right. Or it may be totally speaking to you because you have found yourself again in those 360 cycles, wondering why you've done all this self-work and you've still ended up exactly where you started, and you're intrigued. So if that's you, cool, I'm excited. Stay tuned because we're going to talk more about this. Let me shift gears a little bit and share with you where this 180 method comes from, because it is a solution-driven process that has been tried and proven again and again to break the 360 cycles that we were just talking about, 360 cycles that you've perhaps been living in, causing you all sorts of lovely things like maybe pain, heartache, anger, it's a big one, sadness, confusion, lack of purpose, failed relationships, failed business ventures, maybe even health issues, money issues, basically anything and everything that separates you from how God has designed you to be and live. So I've mentioned these 360 cycles quite a few times probably now in a short amount of time. So what happens in a 360 cycle? Well, let's do it right now. What did we do? We ended up exactly where we started, right? That's the whole 360 cycle. And again, there's a lot of work that happens in the only to end up exactly where you started. This 180 method is what is going to end you in a whole new place, one that has you feeling alive, connected, loved, not alone, but belonging, purposeful, creative, worthy, and ready to take on life. And there will be, many times as I show up and I start sharing more with you about this 180 method, that a lot of it isn't going to sound logical or may go against traditional self-help. And if that's what happens, great. It's a good thing. That's what we want, because logical work, or the logic, is what got you to where you're at again in the first place. In the 180 method, it comes from a spiritual perspective. Yes, I mentioned God earlier. I'm going to talk more about that here in a second. But from the spiritual perspective, it's not logical. And by it, I mean life, the things that have gotten you to where you're at right now, they're not logical. And you will hear me many times speak from that place that doesn't sound logical. Okay, so let's discuss the foundation of this 180 method, because it is meant to give you healing rather than dealing, or continuing really to like deal with your life. So do you hear a difference between healing and dealing? Now, I know this isn't a live video, but I'd still love to hear your comments around that. So please comment and share with me what you hear is the difference between healing and dealing. And healing begins with the understanding of how God has designed you as a human being to create the most impactful results in your life. Because that's what he's done. He has created us to be able to create many wonderful things. Is there hardships in that? Absolutely. But incredible things always come from those hardships. It's the whole like, how do you grow more out of your failures or your successes kind of thing. So let me share it this way, okay? We've all owned toys in our life, whether it was toys that you owned or maybe ones that you bought for your children. And at some point in your life, you have owned a toy, right? And there are many toys that requires batteries. Yes? Now, can you play with those toys without having batteries? Absolutely you can, right? Of course you can. But will the toy be the most effective, get the most out of it, have the best results, or have the most power without batteries? If you don't have batteries, will that toy have all of those things that is available and meant for what the toy is meant to do? No. So again, you can have a great life. You can have a really good life, but for the best results and for you to be able to tap into the most power, batteries required. So what are those batteries? Now let's go deeper into this, okay? Here, and I'm actually going to use a little fun thing here. Okay, so let me share my screen with you, because I want to do this so that you can see it a little differently. All right, going deeper, here we go. There's two parts to us as a human being, okay? So we have two parts to us, and the two parts are the human, and we have the being. Oh, it's kind of hard to write with my finger. Oh, yay, I have a pen. I don't know that it's charged, but let's see. No, bummer. Okay, we're just going to keep writing with my finger. So we have the human and the being. Now, the human is everything physical, right? Everything physical. So that includes the mind and the soul. I'm going to talk about this in just a moment. The being is everything non-physical. Oosh, my writing. Okay. I have doctor's writing, but it doesn't normally look this bad. It's just challenging to do it on the iPad. But again, you're getting it. So we have the human, which is everything physical, and then we have the being, which is the non-physical. And excuse me, by the way, this is why we are called human beings, because we are both. Now, here's another important layer to this, okay? I was just sharing with you the mind and the soul, because there are three components to you as a human being. So we have the spirit at the center, innermost part of who we are. It's that innermost essence of who you are. Then we have the soul, and then we have the body. Okay, now, in traditional self-help models, the mind is usually separated from the soul. So you'll hear like body, mind, spirit, right? That's how it'll be kind of lifted up or written out. However, I'm saying spirit, soul, body. So why? Again, it comes back to these traditional self-help models. The mind gets separated, like it has its own entity. It's like its own entity, and rightfully so, because it does play a major part in healing. Take this off so we can just talk here. It has a major part in healing, like all the mindset work that is done in traditional self-help models. And please don't get me wrong here, like I'm not downplaying that. It's an important part of growth and moving forward. However, the thing to hone in on is in the work that you're doing, don't you want the work that you do to be natural and not like forced? Because if you think about it, when you're having to force yourself to do something, it's obviously hard and it's hard to maintain. My husband and I just did a 5-day fast. Okay. 5-day fast. First time I've ever done it. Oh, hardest thing I have ever done. Okay. I mean, I shouldn't, it was one of the, I should say, hardest things I've ever done, because I've done many hard things in my life. So one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. So there was that hard part to it, and it was challenging to maintain the whole 5 days. When we're talking about healing, if it's not happening naturally, then it's going to be hard for you to maintain. We could use dieting as another example. If you're constantly in diets again and again and again, and look at how many times you've maybe been in a diet or on a diet your life, only to end up exactly where you started. 360 cycle, right? So when we're talking about healing, we want this to be natural. And in order for it to be natural, the mind needs to be put back where it belongs, which is with the soul. The mind gets separated from the soul. And then we tend to focus solely on the mind, causing a disconnect from the soul, which is its home. And this is exactly one of the main reasons why self-help doesn't always work or help long-term. Like maybe it helps, but it doesn't necessarily help long-term because it's not happening naturally because of that disconnect of where the mind is. So instead, we are not going to be focusing so much on mindset. Yes, there's going to be things that I share with you that have to do with it. However, we are going to focus on, you ready for it? Soul set. Because with the soul, then it's all the things that encompass what needs healing. And for you to focus on the whole you, that's when we get to the natural state of things, which causes long-lasting results. When you think about all the things that may have brought you here to watching this video, all the goals that you want to accomplish in your life, all the things, the pains, the hardships, maybe it's a relationship thing, maybe it is a body image thing, maybe it is a diet thing, maybe it's a business thing, and like you keep hitting the same ceiling. I work with a lot of network marketers too that are trying to build teams and they don't know how to build their teams, marriages that are failing because of their communication, whatever it is that brought you here to learn more. I guarantee that every one of those things fall into the soul category, because the soul is pretty much anything and everything that you can think of that makes up who you are on a physical plane. The soul is your mind. We just talked about that. It's your will, it's your emotions, it's your personality, it's your ambitions, it's your behaviors, and it's your beliefs. So all those things, again, that brought you here are connected to those parts of you, and specifically the soul. Now, the healing that we're talking about actually begins at the innermost part of you, that spirit part. So when you start your healing journey, you're not just relying on yourself, like the toy without the batteries. You are relying on the one who designed you, right? So the self, again, is important. And of course, it's needed for change to happen. But another reason why I'm honing in on all the self-help stuff is because that sets you up to be separate, again, from your greatest partner and designer, God. Now, who likes to be alone? Who likes to do things alone and feel lonely? I don't know anyone that would be raising their hands. So many times I hear from clients, one of the biggest core things is aloneness. And that loneliness that comes from that and being separate. So after 20 years of doing this work, I have seen over and over again just how much people don't want to be alone, but feel alone, even if they do have a relationship with God. There's still this alone piece, even though you may pray and know he's there and you have that foundation with him, but there are still things that block you from keeping him as your number one focus. And believe me, I can certainly relate. Just because I am a master life coach does not mean I have mastered my life. It just means that God has equipped me with coaching gifts to help guide others, and the experiences in my own life that can help those. And I said yes to his call, which is why I'm here sharing this with you. So when you are healing in connection with him, your manufacturer, that's the batteries to you, then that part of your spirit, it like spills out into the soul level, like goes from the core and just starts spilling out to the soul level and into the body. And the best part's you're not doing it alone. That's when your battery is fully charged and ready for action. Okay, so I'm going to be going much deeper into this 180 method in the future. I will share with you that there are 4 pillars to this 180 method, and that's going to be our next video about discussing these 4 pillars. Along with that, I want to share with you too that I'm going to be doing a series called the Happiness Challenge. I think one of the things that we all want to experience in life is happiness, but not just fleeting happiness, like again, the traditional happiness that you might think of. Long-lasting joy that is like genuinely happy, which, by the way, is not a feeling, it's an emotion that needs to be expressed. Again, we'll talk about that more in the future and the distinction and difference between feelings and emotions. But this happiness challenge is going to support you in being able to get the beginning parts of the 180 method and the foundation to your life to truly being naturally happy, regardless of your outside circumstances. So I can't think of a better time than the new year to be able to step into the happiness challenge. And if you happen to be watching this video many months or even years after this happiness challenge has been done, no better time than where you're at right now to start the happiness challenge. So our next video will be all about the 4 pillars of the 180 method. And then, my friend, we are going to step into the happiness challenge. Woo! All right. So thank you for being here. Please comment on the difference between healing and dealing. And remember to subscribe to this channel so that you can get the updated videos coming your way. All right, my friend, enjoy, and I will see you next time.